You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 243 of East Central's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell. Today I'm joined by a whole cast of characters. Jesse Riddle's in the building. He's a co-host you've heard before. Chris Spangle's around here. You guys are probably familiar with him. Brian Nichols is making his second appearance on the Boss Hog podcast. Of course, Zach Burcham is over there making the audio and video amazing. And oh my God, we're pushing sound out through the laptop. I'll tell you that right now, Mr. Producer Guy. And there it is again. Dakota doing it.
Tell Dakota to stop sending
Dakota
messages.
is sending stuff, and it's pushing through. You may need to mute the laptop. Hey, Dakota, you want to take the baton?
Jeez, I've got it. We're going to talk about catching up with. We're going to talk about.
We had a really good Patreon session there, didn't we?
Dakota just checked the hell out. He's over it. He's not in.
I'm like, why am I being blamed for this?
So here we are. This is what we're doing today. The WAL network and the connection to Q. Gas prices are loco, and catching up on food and beverage funds and Satan. That's what I've got on my paper.
Good, yeah. I'm glad you updated your notes to match the show you want to do.
Well, it's a little bit, more risque.
This show's about our lives in rural Indiana. Here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh, but hopefully you'll always learn something new. Like Jesse Riddle is an enormous troll and has been since the beginning of time.
Did you troll your parents as a kid?
I was born. They trolled themselves, I think.
We just did the most phenomenal, incredible, best Patreon in the history of the show. If you're a patron, you're going to get the whole audio file emailed to you, but you probably want to fast forward about 10 minutes in for where it restarts again.
Or not.
or
avoid
you
it.
can hear the secrets that were live mic'd out as the audio failed again, going out to the video side.
Sorry, neighbors.
It's okay. Whatever. We do have to thank our patrons. $50 a month club. We have been surprise inspected by Christy Avery, who delivered us this beautiful. If you're watching the video screen, you can look at it in the chat and you can try to determine what the stand-up cutout is over there. But there are bright lights hitting the gentleman's face, so you may or may not actually be able to figure it out. If you can see it, if you know it, drop that in the chat. You can tell people. But otherwise, whatever.
NASCAR driver with tight abs wearing a Pepsi.
Boy, you just gave it away to everybody.
Tony Stewart.
Circa 2003.
The tightest of abs.
Tony was a Coke driver and never had tight abs. But he is selling a $30 million house.
Sometimes Coke drove Tony, I'm pretty sure.
I thought he was Home Depot.
That too. Yes.
Look at me.
I'm proud of you.
It's wonderful. That's great. We're proud of you.
Believe me, you're about to know it all. Poor Brian moved to Newcastle, and Jeremiah tricked him. He hates Newcastle. He leaves every weekend, and he invited his friend to come live with him. And every
We're not
weekend,
friends.
Brian is going,
We're family.
I want to hang out with my friend, but he's gone again. And so he's all alone in this town.
Brian's going to realize that if he wants to hang out with everybody on the weekends, he's going to have to buy a truck and a camper.
That's not true.
I've been hanging out with Dakota every morning at the gym. We lift together. Yeah, come on. Where have you guys been?
Not at the gym.
I lift in the evening.
Touche.
We also want to give a shout out to some local businesses that
We didn't even finish thanking John Phillips, Andy Moore Buick GMC Fishers, Anthony Meyer.
See how I just get interrupted?
It's because you blew by the people that make this show.
Now you know how women feel.
Aren't we supposed to be broadcasting professionals?
Yes.
Not
we
just
are.
shouting over each other?
You would think I would have known better inviting a pig caller onto the network, but here we are.
You have low standards.
And horse collar. Don't forget the horses.
Walking
Yes,
horses.
the
please
local
walk.
businesses that are supporting the candidate series that's starting next week. And but we want to give them a shout out at the front of this episode too, just so that they feel some love. And those are Wyland's Flowers, the Slick Pickle, and then Big Bounce Inflatables here in Newcastle. And
Don't you make fun of
Slick
any of them?
Pickle.
They're real and they're spectacular.
Anybody who chose the Slick Pickle knows what they were doing.
Do you know what the Slick Pickle does?
I don't, but they're my people.
If you're going to invent a business for the Slick Pickle to be in, what would it be? The Slick Pickle has been a sponsor before. So as the guy that looks over this network, I'm sure you've vetted all of our previous sponsorships.
No, your money's your money. I don't. It's not my problem. What do they do?
They are a party bus. You can get in the Slick Pickle party bus, and they'll take you out to Deer Creek Verizon Wireless Clips Music Center by Rural Farm Mortgage.
That's really smart for a town like this.
Yeah.
Drive people out there.
Yeah, they'll take you out there if you want to go. You want to do a bachelor party, whatever. They'll hook you up.
Sponsoring Dick Trickle's car. Dick Trickle, sponsored by the Slick Pickle.
Rest in peace.
Say that five times.
Rest in peace. I have bad news about Dick Trickle.
Oh, hell.
Did he die?
No wonder the sponsorship's taking so long to sign the paperwork.
My doctor said he also had bad things about Dick Trickle. So
You want some merch to support this train wreck of a show?
No. Oh, yeah. I do. Are we still in the...
Your merchandise can be found at T-Chip. You can go to bosshogliberty.com and find the link, or you can look at the live stream. In the comments of the live stream, producer Zach Burcham is going to put the link tree that we have to get all of your Boss Hog of Liberty merchandise. We have T-shirts, long sleeve shirts. We have sweatshirts that are made out of 100% cashmere.
Pandemic gaiters that are useful in no way whatsoever at this point.
Yep. We still have masks. We also have mugs that are color changing that are like $9. So apparently inflation hasn't hit T-Chip yet. So that's
Buy them quick before they go up in price.
A regular mug is like $8. It's insane. The prices are crazy. But, we don't do it for the money. We do it for you. So
you would never be a good salesman.
Why?
We have clothes. Inflation hasn't hit the cups yet, so it's $9.
Jesse's too quiet now.
Create some urgency.
Yeah.
Brian, help him.
We'll work on that.
Yeah.
Get on down to the Boss Hog Liberty. Get some.
Time is running out.
We're going to discontinue all of this merchandise and change it just slightly enough to make you buy it again.
Jesse turned into a reverend from Detroit.
Whoa. I feel like that's offensive. All right, let's... Brian is not here. He's been here since 9:00 this morning, I'm sure. So
Like 8.
since 8 a.m. So he's not going to stay with us for the entire show. So what we're going to do, I'm going to actually ask Christy to take a picture of all of us while we're sitting together since she's off camera, because we're going to need that for the show later.
Take it with my phone. I have an iPhone.
Take it with it. Asshole.
My camera has
So
14
we're going to let
cameras on
this
the back.
picture get taken now before Brian
Take
runs
17
off.
camera pictures at once.
And smile.
Make sure we're all in it.
Here.
Dog's barking. All right. So we've taken our photograph.
Thank you.
Brian is going to run off at some point, but it's important to talk about what we tried. We tried to do the show 3 weeks ago, and there were like 3 snowflakes, and Dakota bitched out on us and said he had to go somewhere else.
Jeremiah is your typical middle-aged man. If there's a problem, it should just be ignored and you should work through it. So if there's going to be an avalanche of snow and 2 feet of snow,
You leave earlier.
you're panicking, pussy. Get to the station.
Calm down.
I know you live an hour and away.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to be there Thursday. I'm telling you on Tuesday that there's going to be 2 feet of snow. I'm not coming. You're
That's
just
fine.
you're
It's
like,
fine. Brian and I handled the whole thing. He looked at me.
Did you pay attention these last 2 years to COVID? There's no reason to trust the weather, man.
Brian looked at me and just went, boy, this town sure sounds messed up when I went over all of the local issues. An entirely locally programmed episode. And Brian's just there going, boy, this is something.
I contributed. I learned that one lady, did she die? Somebody died, I think. I don't remember. Something happened. Some people were sad. Some people were happy. It was great.
Brian's like a more clean cut me.
Did you
where
tell
I'm
him
just
about the
something
turkey?
happened. Someone died.
No, so the point is that we've got
A few minutes.
the WAL network is growing. It's becoming fun again. I've been working so damn hard to get Chris to have fun again. And now that Brian's here, we're forcing fun on WAL.
Yeah.
And Spangle has finally agreed that we're going to be allowed to enjoy ourselves.
Dr. Eric Larson will be in town next week.
Will he?
Yeah.
No shit.
So I meant to tell you that tonight.
Okay.
So,
Well,
yeah.
hey, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Caleb and Brian were at my house last week, 2 weeks ago. And yeah, we're having fun again. Everybody's getting out again. I'm going back into work again. Like, you guys are like, the pandemic's over, baby. We got a war to worry about.
The State of the Union had no masks.
Yeah,
We're
like,
cured as a country.
Brian can probably articulate this more than I can, but the CDC is a political body, not a scientific body. And we've said that from the beginning of the pandemic. They make political decisions, same with the FDA. So they update their guidance 2 or 3 days before the State of the Union. Magically. So Joe Biden for 407 days as president wore a mask as a signal. Then when the poll numbers start dropping, the science changed.
No, we healed up. We got through Omicron.
And so Joe Biden, in his first triumphant entrance into any room as president, was not wearing a mask on the night when all the normies pay attention. Kayla, you know, Kopetsky.
Yeah.
Caitlin doesn't watch the news, but Caitlin tunes into the State of the Union, and she sees all of them not wearing a mask. So the Democrats magically
they're okay with it.
They have midterms coming up. We can't, we're getting our butts kicked in all these elections. So we got to move on from COVID.
I attended a trade show in downtown Indianapolis today at the JW Marriott, right next to the NFL draft. I don't think they're going to draft me. The combine is in town. And
what was your 40-yard time?
Nobody measured any parts of me, Brian, and I was very disappointed.
His 440 was great, but his box jump.
Ozzie Newsome just watched me walk on by and didn't care. So he's Dakota for those.
How many times did you bench press 225?
Me? I don't know. We can check. I'll take a visitor pass tomorrow morning. We'll try.
Okay.
What time y'all start? Like 2 a.m? So anyway,
5:30.
Like we're leaving the show and going there.
We're going straight there.
It is 24
What I'm
hours.
trying to say is it's all rigged.
Yes, I was going to say that
this is the
I went to
connection
this
to Q.
thing.
This is why it's the
No,
connection
but here's
to
the
Q.
thing. If
1,000
everybody,
people gathered in downtown Indianapolis. 3 of them were wearing masks.
Brian is here because he came last year and realized there's a better way to live, and everybody here.
There's normal people?
Yes.
What?
And here's what I would say. I'll give everybody a couple months, like I'll give you till May or June of 2020 to get things figured out where you need to be and your personal parameters of safety and how you need to approach COVID. Like by July 4th here, we were done. I came here for a show in like April, and it just like I came in the summer, no COVID existed here, right? And the numbers here, no COVID restrictions. The numbers here are the same as in Philadelphia, where they've got every mandate possible still. And so
We're talking 2021.
Like as of
now.
last week, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they
And so-
just lifted their indoor mask mandate, by the way,
right, just now. And so I think everybody just needs to take a step back and go, did it work? Did what we try work? Go look at Johns Hopkins research where they did an in-depth study on all these different mandates and government actions, and they found none of it worked. And everybody has realized that a lot of the things that we were trying to do wasn't effective, and that the red states got it right for the most part. The Barrington Declaration came out. Bhattacharya is this epidemiologist who works for Stanford, I believe, who basically laid it out in the spring of 2020 and said, here's what we need to do. Protect the vulnerable, treat it early on, and that's what Joe Biden talked about. And hilariously, like the Rogan doctor, McCullough, who was saying, like, from the beginning, all we need to do was treat the vulnerable. Treat the vulnerable. The second you get it, take some precautions. We need antiviral drugs. We need to treat when you get the disease. And we would have saved a lot of people as opposed to
Wait until you can't breathe.
wait
and
until
your
you
lips
can't
are
breathe
blue.
anymore. And that's what Joe Biden talked about in the State of the Union address.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, the State of the Union address is political misinformation. Joe Biden should be taken off of social media.
Joe Biden also
Thank
said
you.
that we need to get the funding for the police up. We need to
Somehow,
hire more police
we were
officers.
supposed to be
We
selling
need
the
to
Wall
take
Network,
care-
and you're just bitching about Joe Biden over there. You're the worst salesman ever.
Hey,
Nobody
this is
said
why
that-
the connection is the wall.
Brian's
network
over here
and the
going, yes.
connection to
Your
Q.
listeners love it.
It's been 2 years. So like, I think that the part 2 for me is just like, it feels so validating because I had to spend the past 2 years surrounded by people who like hate your way of thinking because it's not going with the mainstream approach. And like, if you're the one questioning why, like, okay, why are we wearing the mask when we're standing at the restaurant? When we sit down, we can take it off and that's safe. And like, well, you're not supposed to question that. You just do what you're told.
Right.
And like, for me, it was intoxicating to like get in an area here where you're able to get away from the nonstop, just like you're a bad guy. And like, that has been the best part, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't say anything, because I was like, yes, keep going, Chris. Cause
I bet the reality is everybody here, and because the Midwestern way is I'm going to assess my personal risk. I'm going to assess the risk of my family.
Right.
I'm going to assess the risk of my neighbor, and I'm going to adjust my behavior accordingly because I'm a nice person. And if you want to wear a mask, I'm not going to give you trouble. If you want me to wear a mask when I come in your store, I'm not going to give you trouble. I'm going to respect that. You know, and what you don't have a lot of here is, well, you're literally going to hell if you don't put that mask on. I don't care
You're
if
killing my grandma.
Yeah, like, why does the YMCA in Indianapolis have my 3-year-old wearing a mask and she's the only one in the building? 98% of the adults are not wearing a mask. It doesn't make sense. It's very stupid. It's time to move on. And like, the people who kind of want to litigate the COVID era are gravely disappointed in a war breaking out, because that's going to grab everybody's attention and you're never going to get your like comeuppance for the people that got it wrong.
Yeah, I bet Fauci is pissed.
But
did you see him? He's relegated to like some no-name, like local channel, Fauci.
oh, really?
Yeah. And he's like
He's on Channel 7 Dayton now.
Woke AF podcast.
Hey, there's plenty of people on our side too who that was their career for 2 years, and what are they going to talk about now? Like, you got to pivot to foreign policy, but that's what you made your bread and butter on was.
Not us. All local all the time, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Dave Smith was always about foreign policy.
Yeah.
So
he's
got that to fall back on.
The We Are Libertarians Network, my rant notwithstanding, I'm very tired. I'm very punchy. I'm not sleeping.
You're drunk. If people saw Patreon, he's drunk.
I'm a little drunk. What we do at the We Are Libertarians Network is take current events and talk about them. I give you the breakdown of what happens in Ukraine. Here's the history of the situation. Here's how we got here. Here's NATO's part in it in the United States. Here's Putin's part in it. What is he looking to get out of it? This weekend, we're going to talk about, is this World War III? Like, we take the questions that you want to know and we answer them. We've got Paradox, who's talking about not just COVID and the pandemic, but also medical innovation, cheaper access to healthcare. We've got Brian, who's talking about how to sell your message, because it's important for people to communicate these ideas that we have. We have, 2 history shows, The History of Modern Politics, about the development of our modern politics. We've got Profiles on Liberty with Caleb Franz, who's doing a series about black founding fathers right now that's been excellent. We've got Remzo Martinez, who is... I don't know what Remzo is, but I have 5 orphans in Ukraine that I want freed.
He's some sort of a badger.
So when I needed to go to Ukraine in Odessa to liberate 5 of my Ukrainian orphans this week, I almost called Remzo to go with me because he's the only one nuts enough to do it. He talks about personal growth and marketing and all kinds of, and travel and all kinds of fun things, and like how to get your personal life right. And then there's Gingerarchy, an enemy of my enemy, Hody Johns, models how to have conversations about combustible issues between left, right, and center.
Joe Tompkins is in the chat. He says, COVID's over and IndyCar's here. Be happy, Spangle.
What
Calm
else?
Your tits.
What else? I'm not missing any. We've got Gingerarchy.
You didn't describe Boss Hog. You've described every other show on the network but Boss Hog. How do you explain us to your friends?
Do you want the comedy answer or the truth?
I want the truth, and then I want the comedy.
I know these guys.
I need the truth.
Okay.
I can handle it.
What Caleb, it works for Young Voices. And Caleb said to me exactly what I have said to a lot of other people. How do we take Boss Hog of Liberty and replicate it in other communities? Because this is the future of local news. And my answer to him was, it's really hard because you've got to have a Jeremiah and Dakota. You've got to have somebody who's constantly recruiting producers and guest hosts and guests. And
we literally just talked about how average I am.
Not everywhere.
You need a pure meme.
Not everywhere.
Measuring 5.5 inches tall.
No, but the fact is, it's like you guys are fun people that people want to hang out with. That translates. And God bless the local newspaper. I know the editor. He's a dear, dear, dear friend. And I don't know how many people pick up the newspaper and read it every day, but it's not as many people as listen to you guys every week. And that's because you're talking about relevant topics in a fun way, in a relatable way that is highly portable. And this is the type of model that needs to be replicated in every local community across the United States. It's not hard. It's a lot of fun. Go listen to episode 1 where we're in your living room and it sounds horrible. And then you get to 250 and it sounds horrible, but it's a little better.
But it's well lit.
Yeah. I mean, you have hundreds of people listening every week.
Yeah.
Sometimes over 1,000 listeners a week. And in a town of 20,000 people, that's like 1/50th of the town listening.
Listen, I don't want to brag, but sometimes I can't go from one L to the next in Aldi without getting stopped. It is out of control.
People take pictures of you.
Yeah.
Behind the end cap.
The billboards help during the
There
COVID.
have been times where people have come up to me who act like they just know me, and I should just know them
Yeah.
because it feels like they do know me.
Yeah.
They've heard me talk for hours and hours.
For years.
They know me.
You're their friend.
Most people. And it's like, and they'll just be like, "Hey, Dakota, what's up, man?" And it's like, never seen you a day in my life.
It is an awkward thing, like when people stop you in the street and you're like Joshua Sexton, who is a loyal WAL listener, listen to every episode of We Are Libertarians and the Chris Spangle Show. He's like, I just feel like really weird because I know everything about you and you know nothing about me. And this has to be weird, right?
Start sharing.
Yeah.
I want your
When you
secrets
say it that
now.
way, it's really weird.
He sends me a birthday present every year that's always thoughtful and funny. And he's like, he probably thinks you're a creep. He thinks you're a nut. So am I being crazy or nutty or like, am I making you uncomfortable doing this? I go, no, it's the funnest, coolest thing ever.
You have Ronald McDuffin in your life. So
right.
with that, there's nothing that's going to get worse.
Right. No, nobody makes fun of me more than him.
I do feel that way about, I listen to Joe Rogan a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel that way like if I were to meet Rogan in person,
Yeah.
I would just be like,
I'm so much taller than him.
"What's up?"
I'd be like,
Oh no, I had
I'd be
this
like, "Wow,
yeah,
you
I
have
actually had
GH
this.
gut."
I'd be like, oh my God, I loved you on news radio. It was great.
Well, this happened to me because I had Victor Antonio on my show, and he's like a sales legend, and I've listened to pretty much every He has like 500 episodes of his sales influence podcast. I've listened to every single episode, and I've done all of his trainings, and to then have him on my show, and it's like I've spent hours with you, like literally, like you have been my teacher, and now I'm interviewing you, asking you questions, like.
Chris and I had that experience with Robin Miller
Yeah.
on episode 44.
Well, we're
the
five.
late great.
We are 5 days away from the 10th anniversary of We Are Libertarians, and we have had an incredibly long, fun, meaningful journey. Jeremiah has been there from the beginning. He's the only one left. Everybody else didn't
I'm a
make
survivor. Harry and I are cockroaches.
it. There was a group picture, and Harry put an X through everybody else.
Everybody else.
And it was just him.
I was at Long Beach in that was a 2015 picture.
Yeah.
I was at Long Beach, California. That's why I wasn't in those pictures.
Yeah.
Because I was like, where the hell was I?
2015 is right when I came on the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys have done a great job here in the community of becoming the local news source. I'd love to see this in Muncie and San Luis Obispo, California, and Terre Haute, or maybe even Brazil, Indiana. Because
Now, listen, I'm telling you that our Brazil connection, he's promoting the racing podcast that he and Chris Galt are supposed to have,
any day now.
asking when that's coming out.
When's that podcast
And
starting?
I hear that our Brazil connection has a wife that has a new cup addiction. So he's going to need to figure out a new source of income to support that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's what I would love for Boss Hog. I'd love for this model where you took the We Are Libertarians model, where I wanted to have a fun, goofy conversation that was relatable. Like you're sitting at the kitchen table talking about politics with your friends, and you guys took that and adapted it to current events without pretension. You take things seriously more than you take yourselves. And that's what the network does. We're friends. We're genuinely friends. We're all coming together we're all libertarians, but I wouldn't say we're the libertarian network. We're certainly not a part of the libertarian movement
Zach's
anymore.
our token Democrat.
I have been.
How many of us are even members anymore?
I am.
Oh, you are?
I'm a member of the state party.
I'm speaking at the state party this weekend for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe.
teaching.
If I show up.
If you remember to go.
Evan's making me wear a suit.
Spangle, first of all, I don't know if you have one that's in your size now.
So
and
apparently I'm
secondly,
the odd one out for not being a member.
I'm a member
I thought
of the-
that
No,
I could
I'm
one
not a
was
member.
I'm a member of the state party.
I'm not a member either.
but
Okay.
Thing expire. Yeah.
but I
Like we're gonna stop using your code for new referrals, and I'm like, I'm just gonna stop using you as my party. So bye.
Spangle is it's like Lucy kicking the football. They print up a a name tag for you every year, and then it just sits there.
Last
I was
year
a
I had
member
to
of the
babysit.
1994 society, and then whenever my card, like I had to get a new debit card, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to renew that, I don't think. And then I got a call from Morgan Rigg from the state party, and he was like, hey, Dakota, your debit card got declined for your 1994 society. And I was like, oh. And like,
It took care of
How
itself.
about that?
and
You fixed the glitch, is what you're saying.
Morgan is like such a nice guy.
He's the sweetest.
Yeah, like, he's so nice.
Allegedly,
I just
Christy
didn't have
Avery.
the
That's
heart
what I
to
heard.
tell him to be like, yeah, that was on purpose.
I don't think that's true. but-
I was just like, oh, okay, let me look into that. And he's like, thanks. Nice talking to
Did
you.
not close the sale.
He's still waiting for your call back. He's like, his card still hasn't gone through
He's
yet.
in the meetings with Evan.
He's working on it though right now.
Every week he says, Evan, Dakota's just working on that. It's coming.
Look, I
It's gonna be
support
fine.
the Libertarian Party spiritually. I believe in the mission. There should be a third party. That's why I got involved years ago. I don't support nonsense fighting. But
The
that's
national-
not
You
that's
can't
not
let
Indiana.
it become your identity. And I
Yeah.
think that's what happens is that when
Yeah.
people get involved in national politics, not even just national, when they let the party become their identity, then it's not that they're like fighting for a more grand purpose. It becomes like, I have to protect my identity. And then it just leads to that toxicity.
If
Man, I
somebody
just
make-
hate Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah.
that's
If somebody makes a comment to you about your favorite politician and you get angry, you have to reevaluate that politician's place in your life.
Unless you answered Rex Bell.
or you need to reevaluate your relationship with politics in general, that you
Yeah.
have that affinity with a politician
Yes.
in general.
So we do need to hear from Brian. He's we've just let Spangle talk, and Brian's got to go home for dinner.
I do.
So this is your chance to tell Chris why you love him
Okay.
and admit why you actually moved to Newcastle.
We can't let him talk anymore. We need to talk about him.
Yes.
I like this.
So no lie. And this actually kind of goes to Dakota's point earlier, right? So I used to listen to We Are Libertarians when I first moved to Philadelphia with at the time, she was my girlfriend. And she's now my wife. And she,
I've met her.
You know her, right? Yeah. And we would, so our schedules were crazy different. And when I first moved to Philadelphia, it was terrible. Not only from just the standpoint of like, I was fish out of water, but
Yeah.
like I was taken from the middle of the North Country where Jeremiah and I are cousins from.
We're from the Nichols
Literally.
clan.
Yeah.
Prove us wrong.
But then just dropped in South Philadelphia,
Born and raised.
4 blocks from Broad Street. And I was just overwhelmed. And like
We're just one block from Broad Street.
like,
It's
I
the
had-
same thing.
That's very true. But like I had a little row home upstairs apartment, and I would listen to We Are Libertarians.
Yeah.
And you guys became my friends. And I was
the saddest thing I've ever
I know.
heard in my life,
and
Brian.
Joke's on this idiot.
I know. But then I was like, I would hear the fun and the camaraderie that you guys would have together, and I was like, man, I really love this feeling.
Yeah.
And then that's when I reached out to you originally, like just to like say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that was after like, a year or so of listening and like trying to get the intestinal fortitude to actually like take the step to do it. But then like the reason I took the step out here was when we came to visit back in July, and we stayed we were in Indy. That's right. That time. And we came out here for the pool party, and everybody was incredible.
Yeah.
I know you jokingly were like, we're going to sell you on this place, Brian,
Yeah,
but
we suckered him.
but like you didn't have to try
Yeah.
because, and the one thing my wife and I, when we'd go back to the hotel room or the Airbnb, we'd be like, is everybody really nice or is it just us?
How is that held up?
It has not only held up, it like has rung true. I
Yeah.
talk about it constantly. Like the whole Hoosier hospitality thing is 1,000% real, especially coming from the Northeast when everybody is so cynical and jaded. Like my company is a beacon of light in the Northeast because the culture of the people there are just all good people.
Yeah.
But like as soon as you get out of the workplace and you just go to your environment, everybody's so.
I bet that the older couple at the gym that is there every morning knows you by name by now.
Dude, like the fact that like I would walk in, this old lady at the gym, and she like pointed at my shirt. She goes, "What's that say?" And I said, "Oh, it's my old high school. It was Hewelton Bulldogs." She's like, "Oh, okay, gotcha." And like that caught me off guard. I was like, who is this person?
Are you joking with me? Are you making fun of me?
Like in Philadelphia,
Who the hell are you?
you put your hood up and you just walk, right? You're at the
Yeah.
gym, you have your headphones on, you do your thing. And I had to get reprogrammed almost to like, oh, people care about how your day is and like who you are and what you do.
That's
I
been
know.
a hard.
Like
that's
whenever
been-
I leave, I'll be walking out of the gym, going to my work truck, and I'll just hear from behind me, "Have a good day, stay safe." And it's
Yeah.
like, I've taken that for granted my whole life because I've been here.
I think that's why I have a harder time in the libertarian movement than I used to, as it's oriented itself more towards the East Coast and like bridge and tunnel thinking, like, and cynicism, and in some ways hopelessness. Like, you kind of watch things. Well, there's no point in even being anti-war. They're just going to take us to war. Like, there's no hope. Like, I look at it and I'm like, no, with our Midwestern optimism, we're like, we can have a rally and stop this, and so it's hard for me to like look at some of that cynicism. And it's interesting to hear you say that, because that like nails the thing that I just can't put my finger on. Why, like, what's discordant between the way that the Libertarian Party was 10 years ago and what it is now. And it's that I'm going to keep my head down. It's kind of a hopeless situation. And like, it's just the opposite of like Indiana, and we talked about that last year. I'm like, Brian, you got to come here, because if you don't like where you're at, you can come to another place, because where you live is not where everybody else is, and because the media centers are in these big cities, everybody kind of has this global view that things are hopeless and that things are like, you just got to obey. And that's what like We're Libertarians is about.
Central Indiana does have a lot of content creators.
Oh, yeah.
Both your main employer, the Ms. Pat show. There's a lot of content. McAfee, like him or hate him, he's originates here in
I used to
Central
listen
Indiana.
to his main
One of the
employer when I was on the
largest-
way to school in the morning. Like,
The largest mailing company in the world is in Indianapolis.
Really?
Marketing Club.
The Thompson Chain Reference Bible is printed in Indianapolis.
Zach, crank Jesse up a little bit. He must be in a mood.
I know. I've told you
point
I
it towards
can't
your
hear
mouth.
myself talk.
Point it towards your mouth. Yeah, like Indianapolis has. I got lunch
better.
today
What he
with
said.
a friend. She runs More Magazine. Her name is Ariana Cruz, and like we just sat there and talked, and like we didn't talk politics at all. We just talked about the things that we want to see society
that up.
become. And I bet if we like started out saying, where are you at on this issue? Where are you at on this issue? Right? Well, like we probably would find things we don't agree on. But like when we talked about, man, I really care about this, and yeah, we need to fix this. Like we had a great conversation.
That's what politics used to be. Politics and the disagreements, they weren't so fundamental that they were like
You focus on the
polar
90% of the
opposites.
things that you
It
agree
was
with.
Not team
It
sport.
was like we both want the same thing. Our disagreement is how we get there.
but it was the issues you said it, Chris. You said the word that you cared about, right? Not the things you hated.
Right.
And it's so easy in today's culture to like find the things you hate
Yeah.
and to fixate on them versus let's focus on the things that we love and the things that we can be constructive in building together.
Yeah.
And let's build something from that, because that's going to be more productive. That's going to be more conducive to like more positive outcomes versus just being destructive and not focusing on like, if we're going to spend our time consumed on the things we hate, then we will become the thing that consumes us.
The number one rule of, trust me, if we're headed into a turbulent period of war, what you need to remember.
No. Europe is. We're going to be out of it. It's going to be fine. Don't worry. Don't you
Hey,
worry
pat
about
him on
it.
the head.
Don't you
Aw,
worry about it.
sweetie.
Bless his heart.
This is Europe's
If
war.
somebody is constantly just looking for somebody to blame, you got to watch out for that person. If somebody is just trying to make you angry, you got to watch out for that person. It doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means that if they can never get past and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be anti-politics. We're trying to be,
That's one of the things we've talked about.
Trying to
on this
break down
show,
barriers.
Is that we've had Janine Lee Lake on this show 3 times, who is the most liberal person in Indiana running for Congress. And Dakota thinks she's crazy, but I think she's a friend of the show. She's great. The look on his face. I love it. It's fun. That's
Gonna throw me under the bus like that.
That's well, listen.
I said, there's been shit on Dakota Day. You got Chris going after him, Jared going after him.
But then we go to the absolute hard right as well.
you know what, guys? Screw you.
And then he's done. He's done. But we have heartfelt conversations with people that come from absolutely all sides of the political
I still think Dave
chart.
Ring is the most liberal person we've ever had on.
Yeah, Dave's totally crunchy granola. But he's very passionate about what he believes in, and he's living the life with his store in Muncie. But we've had very thoughtful, productive conversations with people for the last 5 years in a very real way, and I think that's the special sauce of the network.
Yeah, the extremes want to pull us towards their version of authoritarianism.
Harry says that he'll trade Dakota for Reinhold.
Done. Their version of authoritarianism, and it's usually rooted in cynicism, and it's usually rooted in hopelessness, and cynicism.
We have a pandemic of nihilism sweeping the nation.
Yeah,
right now.
and what We're Libertarians tries to be is a bulwark against that. You don't have to distrust everything you see, and don't even bother watching the news because it's all fake. There's plenty of real news out there. Ghost fighter of Kiev, fake. Pictures of Zelensky, fake. But these pictures of Zelensky are real. There are no bioweapons labs from the United States in Ukraine. That's fake. There are what are those called? Nuclear reactors that are there that are on fire right now.
Allegedly.
You know what I mean? Like there's
the largest nuclear nuclear generating facility in the world.
Yeah, is on fire. 6 reactors. It's all fine.
Be okay.
My mission in life is to get people to engage with their world, to engage with their community, engage with their life. Like once you do that and you get courageous and start talking to people, you're going to find out that you can get. You asked me about the network.
Dakota's trying to make the pain go away right now.
Dakota is drinking acetone.
Now I have to run because I have dinner waiting for me. But I will say that is entirely the reason, though, I moved to Indianapolis or Indiana. No, just kidding. Sorry, Chair. That's why I moved to Indiana.
They came to my house for dinner, and his wife's looking out the window, and she's going, "Ooh, there's walkers out there. Ooh, babies." I'm like, they left, and I go, "We got her."
But like the good people bringing out the good. In
Zach
people.
runs by your house every day just to look at you and see if you need anything.
The windows usually are open.
I bet I run by at least 4 or 5 times a week.
I got like pictures.
just to look in your window and make sure you're sitting
Not
there
that it's
happy.
creepy. That's just neighbor Newcastle love.
Can you take off your shoes?
In my house, she carried everything inside.
I ran past that house 5,000 times before he moved into it. It just happens.
Now
to
you
be
just
on.
know somebody who lives there. But
Yeah.
no, good people 1,000% bring out the good in people. So thank you, fam, for being great people.
Dave Chappelle's house is like an hour and a half away too.
Well, we'll go hang out with him
Yeah.
in his gated community.
No, we won't.
He will have an armed guard shoot at us.
All right, fam.
All right.
see
Thank
you
you,
later.
Brian. You're a wonderful treasure. Love y'all. Good. I'm just so impressed.
I wouldn't
that
want to
you-
hang out with that transphobe anyway.
I'm so impressed that he's brave enough to live north of Q.
It's delightful north of Q. We get the Amazon vans here too.
Andrew Bowman, Newcastle's so impressive. Brian calls it Indianapolis. How dare he? Oof. Okay.
I've been seeing Brian every day in the gym this week.
Yeah.
It's been good for me.
Christy Avery is joining just to get in the shot. Hey, lady.
Hey, Chrissy.
I'm glad because when he moved here, I was like,
There's a microphone.
we got to be friends with him now. We can't like
We can't abandon
just
him.
like leave him here. Like we gotta. Can I come and hang out? Yeah, I guess. All right.
The first time that he came in at the same time as me,
Did he know who you were?
I was
Because you avoided him for a good 3 weeks when he got here. Every time we needed you, you're like, "Oh, I'm busy. I can't possibly see Brian." Tricked you. I'm not hanging out.
I looked up in the mirror and like he was walking back behind me and I was like, who's that giant?
He's very tall.
It's Brian Nichols. I waved
Brian
at him
Nichols
and
show.
You
he
waved
gave
at
me-
him in the gym.
Yeah. I was like, hey. And he gave me 2 big old thumbs up and a big grin. Because we both had our headphones on, so
Yeah, you can't.
Both listening to Spangle on the podcast, I'm sure.
Yes, nothing
I
gets you
can't
pumped up.
I can't do podcasts or audiobooks whenever I lift. It's too distracting.
Nothing gets the tea flowing like the Chris Spangle show.
It's true.
I'm going to say that's false. I'm just saying.
By the way, I want to congratulate you guys. It's really nice of you for what you do for the trans community to have Tanner on, the first person to transition from male to female back to male. It's really nice of you guys.
On the WAL Network.
On the WAL Network.
Are you proud of yourself?
Yes.
Tanner's a treasure.
He is a national treasure.
He's
we need
he's
to
mine.
protect. We need to
Unfortunately,
protect Tanner.
He's property of the Boss Hog podcast. The Chris Spangle show cannot steal Tanner. We own his likeness, and he's a part of our program.
Well, after the incident on my show, he's still under probation.
And
so.
he's not. He's been unsuspended from Boss Hog, but
That's good.
But on the
Protect
on the
Tanner
Chris Spangle
Purdue at
network.
all costs.
Remember when we sent him to Washington, D.C. for Trump's inauguration?
Yes.
Said him. He voluntold himself to go,
And then he dropped
his phone and coffee when he got to Cambridge City, and still continued the trip.
I'm going to be so reliable. I'm going to call you every day of the reports. And then I don't hear from him for 3 days. And he finally texts me and he's like, bruh, I dropped my phone in some Coca-Cola.
No, he
and he worked in a cell phone store. That was the best thing. Is he literally sold the devices that he ruined.
I love
He said that he didn't realize that he had dropped it in the coffee in Cambridge City, that he just stopped at a gas station and realized his phone had just been chilling in the cup of coffee for the entire car ride.
I'm so sorry.
I'm way too addicted to my phone. I would know within 3
He was
miles.
driving.
I'd know within 3 miles.
Okay, Jeremiah.
What does that mean?
Jeremiah, do you have
He's
enough
driving.
cup holders in your car
He's not
to
using
have
his
a
phone.
beverage to drown all of your phones?
No, I have three. I carry. If I take a big road trip, I have 3 phones, and now the Chris Galt Memorial tablet. So I've got devices everywhere.
I was going to say you'd have
He
to
also
have,
uses computers from like hacker movies in 1995. So.
This. Now, listen, Zach and Dakota witnessed the miracle with this laptop. I'm sure Christy saw it on the
that thing's
Patreon.
consumed an entire beer and survived.
It was a whole whiskey Coke. It was like a 2-liter bottle of
To be
Coca-Cola.
fair, that's why the ThinkPads are built the way they are.
that poured into it. I shut it off. I set it in a bag for 3 days. I turned it back on. Fine. Not a problem since. This is a beast that's going to live longer than
It's
me.
a business laptop. It's designed to take that kind of battery.
Yeah. It is incredible. Harry's impressed. Harry says sweet laptop.
For the professional
It's slow.
businessman.
It's slow.
Me and
but
Harry
I can
also understand it's a hacker laptop.
I can beat on the keyboard and it runs Google Drive for me. That's all I
Honestly,
need.
that laptop is the reason that I bought
That one over there, the Lenovo over there.
for like everything that I do. That is now just the podcast laptop, because I was like, that thing's been around for as long as I've been alive.
Yeah.
So
And it functions. It's beautiful. And I love it's now lost its optical drive. It's gone. It's just loose.
This is not great content for a show.
It's perfect. This is
bored.
what the
you know what it is. Let's talk about.
Hey, let's talk about taxes.
Let's get some better content. Let's talk about the food and beverage tax.
Trying to sell Lenovo. Oh, thanks to our sponsor, Lenovo.
Actually, hold on. We need to find out if our person on the inside has given us the information.
Tanner?
Yeah. Bro.
I'm in.
Jesse, I'm not sure if you listened to his episode, but if he's there, he's pushing for them to build a strip mall.
Where?
I don't know, but he really wanted a mall.
I want to see some. Never mind.
It's not that kind of strip. Dakota, where are you going with this, buddy? Because I can jump off here.
Let's move on to a different topic while I get.
Well, I'm glad the show prep's going well.
It's like we're sitting here trying to. There's awkward silence with Dick.
I'm trying to get our guy that
twice.
was at the meeting to
It's-
send me
Oh,
the
that one.
stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's twice now that we've had Dakota that we've thrown to Dakota, and he's like, "Yep, not ready yet."
Hey, so what are we going to cover? Gas
Gas.
prices are loco?
The gas prices. So
Oh, loco.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's a bit of a problem with the oil market.
Yeah.
Oil's $110 a barrel right now.
Isn't it hilarious that the country that has one export, which is oil, is going to lose a war because they ran out of gas?
I'm still trying to figure out why our oil. Do we know why our oil is affected? Because we do not export. We do not accept exports.
It's a
from
global
Russia.
market.
We purchased 538 million barrels of oil from Russia per day.
But that's less than probably 1% of our
It
oil
was
that
this.
we buy.
I think it's also a supply issue.
No,
as supply
He's
goes
at the final
down,
meeting tonight.
that's going to make.
Sure. I mean,
Yeah.
like I get the global aspect, and the probably other people are buying oil from the same people we buy oil from.
Well, gas prices are high. So the highest ever was in 2014. The lowest ever was 1994. The peak of human civilization, the year of OJ and Nancy Kerrigan, 1994.
Time stood still then.
Yeah, and like
the Pacers were good.
Need more white Broncos on the road.
yeah, And so the problem
Broncos back though.
with like the Biden administration, the Obama administration, they come in and they stop fracking, they stop, the pipelines,
Keystone
they
XL
stop.
pipeline.
Yeah.
The
So
thing about the Keystone XL pipeline that I don't understand about, like, and we talked about it on the show because I still don't understand it, is the native Indian tribe that pipeline was going to run through. That was the big deal. The basically the local government, the chiefs of the tribe met with the oil company
Right.
that was going to be going through there, accepted a payment to use for land usage,
right.
signed a contract, said we're allowing you to use this land in exchange for this amount of money. They said, okay, we're going to do that. And then people started protesting,
Yeah,
saying you can't do
Standing
this.
Rock.
Yeah, this is sacred land, whatever. Meanwhile, their governing body said that it was okay, took money for it, and then they started building it, and then it got like 90% completed. The part that ran through the reservation is complete.
So it's there.
It's there
Right.
already, but Joe Biden, whenever he first gets into office, is like, we're going to shut it down to protect the Native American
Yeah.
reservation.
Yeah.
Because it's fake.
They found political reasons to get out of it, and that was a day one thing. And that was
Yeah.
that was my biggest objection to all of the policies that Biden put into place early on. That was the biggest one that was a miscalculation.
Yeah.
Because you
And-
don't do that to investors. You don't do that in the middle of a project.
What you
don't
have
work the
to
pro- the
understand
reward out.
about politics is that it is the art of trying to appear a certain way to certain groups. It is not about solving problems. It is not about improving people's lives. It is about creating bureaucratic solution that will grind poor people into the dirt to make yourself look good to people who have money. And there is usually no resolution because the people who actually get hurt by the bureaucracy that's installed don't have a voice, and they don't count as much as wealthy donors who want to appear like they care about Standing Rock and all these kind of issues. They're the ones that are trying to be pleased. They're trying to look a certain way. People are, it's like with COVID and masks, you want to appear a certain way. If you were to come out and say, you know what, America and Europe and how they handled Putin and NATO, they did some things that kind of prompted Putin to escalate too. You'd be run out on a rail. Like, you have to be pro Zelensky, you have to be pro Ukraine. You cannot question how we got here. Like, and I'm not saying like Putin is an evil human being, and now we're at a point where the only way to stop him is going to be a war, like, or he's going to take Moldova and he's going to move into the Balkans
It
and
depends.
these other
I mean,
places.
the economy in Russia is not
real
that
quick.
strong.
I want to correct what I said earlier. I have a self-correction. 595,000 barrels of oil is what we get from
7% of our
But
oil.
to answer your question, is the point of the Keystone Pipeline is that Joe Biden came in a weak president to the progressive wing, and he wanted to do things to make that wing happy, and he didn't care who was actually involved or who that would affect. It's about how he appeals to people because he needs to get reelected.
So I will say that we're feeling the effects of the pipeline not existing now that there's strife.
Yeah.
When
The
you didn't need
Keystone
the
XL
additional
pipeline would have produced 830,000 barrels of oil per day.
Yeah. When you don't need the excess capacity, it's not that big of a deal. Right now, it's a big deal, and generally the price is going up because of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Real world data that we got today, data that I got today. Spiceland, Indiana, the Flying J, which is, by the way, going to have the big trucker rally on
This is
Saturday.
called journalism, people. Look it up.
$4.81 like for a gallon
It's like
of
you
diesel.
just got on gasbuddy.com.
That's what I paid.
I did it myself. $4.81.
Oh,
diesel.
I paid $3.80 on the way here.
$4.81 for diesel. Right around the corner at the Sunoco, it was $4.09. So shop around a little bit if you're in the diesel business. But yeah, I saw $3.85 myself a number of times between Newcastle, Indiana, and Cincinnati yesterday.
Don't go to Flying J. They have a difference between cash payment on diesel and credit payment on diesel. They're a scam. Like, just go down the road to the Mr. Fuel.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's all fine. I'm just saying that you have real world prices where you're paying nearly $5 a gallon for diesel fuel.
Jeremiah does not have time for your principled stance.
I also don't think that people who support Biden give a shit.
I'm going to
No.
point to Zach and have him remind me, who owns Mr. Fuel?
Flying J.
Hey, okay. And who owns Flying J? Pilot Flying J. Same company.
Yeah.
Exact same company.
Yeah,
Your principal
Yeah,
stand
but
means
they don't
nothing,
have
Dakota.
they don't have the difference in the price. Flying J, they're doing a weird
I mean,
thing.
even
Let
more-
me correct you, Jesse.
Good.
Who
He
actually
needs slapped
supports
around.
Who actually supports Joe Biden?
Well, nobody.
Have you seen any Joe Biden bumper stickers?
No.
I've seen more Barack Obama bumper stickers and Bernie Sanders
I
stickers.
still see Bernie Sanders stickers.
I've seen more George Bush stickers.
I actually sped up to a car a couple days ago because I saw a bumper sticker. I was like, what did that say?
Sped up,
So
not spit up. I thought you got vomiting.
No, sped
Sped up.
sped up
Okay. All right.
to the vehicle. And it was a fucking Biden, or it was a Bernie sticker. I was like, I wasted my gas for this.
Nobody supports Joe Biden.
No, I know. But I'm just saying, like, I don't hear.
I'm still neutral.
I've yet to
I'm
hear the
honestly
left-
not that pissed. I'm just neutral.
I'm just saying, I've never heard the left complain about gas. Like, because they know, like, it's kind of our fucking.
No, they want it to be $10. They
Yeah,
legitimately the true progressives want gas to be $10 a gallon, so that
limit
it forces
carbon.
you off of gasoline and into electric vehicles. And other
No. They want to push you. So here's the thing: is
into public
in
transportation.
the public transportation because they don't understand rural transportation at all. Rural.
Yeah, but
They're all big city
right.
folk.
Exactly. And even in the red line, I am inconvenienced by the red line on a daily basis because I live 2 blocks from Meridian Street where they have destroyed Meridian Street.
Why don't you just
For
get
no
on the red
reason.
line to go downtown?
Nobody rides red line.
Red
the people
line,
that
red
I was
line.
arguing with, like my crunchy granola eating Bernie Sanders family, they're like,
You know, you have
I
to-
love the idea.
you
The
have
poor
to-
people need it.
You have to explain to the red line to the people of Henry County because we don't cover these big city issues.
Well, you're paying for it. So the red line is an express bus line from downtown up to like Broad Ripple. And they cut 2 lanes out of traffic on Meridian and College, the 2 busiest thoroughfares inside Indianapolis, and nobody rides it. They did it because we need young professionals need to travel. Instead of the poor people who need the bus, let's get a red line to 34th and Post or Crown Hill. That's where we need the red line. But that's not where the money wants the red line. We need to put it for the young professionals in Broad Ripple.
What if they challenge
and then
you
they all
and
ran
say
it?
it's because the network's not complete. You only have 1 line, but we got to build all 6
They're
of them
full of it.
before
Nobody's
going
gonna
to
write
6
it.
of them before people
They
get
still
on.
haven't started the one on Washington Street.
Because here's the truth. They care about the young professional sales force employees and
yeah.
getting more of those type of people to live
100%.
and find it to be a livable city, a walkable city. That's who they care about because that's the tax base. And then they'll throw in, oh, it's the poor, it's the poor, it's the poor. And so the red line, the people who said, oh, I'm absolutely going to write it. They wrote it one time, realized it added 45 minutes to their commute. It was an inconvenience, and they never wrote it again. And the reality is the future is electric cars. Well, you got to plug that into a wall. So you can't use coal. That's another bad energy source, right? You can't use all these. You're never going to get enough wind, solar.
Well, we don't like wind and solar around here. I'll have
You
know
can't.
that right
You can't
now.
get enough.
Not
Nuclear is the
popular.
only option, and I know that a nuclear
Natural
power plant.
gas is super clean too.
Fine, nuclear. Let's go.
I agree. Nuclear is.
Yeah, let's do
If
it.
we're talking about clean energy, nuclear is the top of the food chain, and it's also the best
I think
regulated.
if Bill Gates would just stop eating babies and work on the nuclear stuff, I think we could make it happen.
right?
Tony Roach reminds me that President Biden did get the United States out of Afghanistan. So
No, he
That
did
was
not.
happening already.
It was
go
already
Joe.
on
He's
dots.
taking credit.
that was a
think he's trolling us.
a pipeline towards exit set by Barack Obama, increased and sped up by Donald Trump, and definitively finished by Biden. He gets credit for that.
We talked about it. We talked about it last week. Biden was the one president.
Mission
that actually got it done.
accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
That was the one.
And you know what? Biden, for his credit, has become a non-interventionist guy. You know why? Because Beau Biden, his beloved son that died, not Hunter,
Yeah.
Beau died because of burn pits in Iraq or Afghanistan. Like they took all their trash and feces and everything and dumped it in a burn pit. And you see it in what's the great Outpost, and it gave all these guys cancer. And so Beau got brain cancer as a result of his service overseas.
Here's the thing,
and it
though.
changed Joe Biden into somebody that is very hesitant to send people to war. And so if there is a world war, we're going to be one of the last in it as long as Joe Biden's president. Donald Trump would have probably been the exact same way. And the best thing he did was turn the right non-interventionist.
Well, we have troops in Slovakia.
7,000 troops. Now, here's the
Most
problem
of those are special forces troops, though. And
for NATO.
yeah,
Yeah, I
Exactly.
think it's more if NATO wants to pull a trigger. So
It's a Joe Biden. Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. But also, this generation of Americans is much more. We want peace a lot more than the generations that came before us.
Yep.
Because, like, 70% of my entire life has been spent at war.
You see the costs. You feel the costs. Those gas prices are the cost.
Yeah, and those are that's what affects you. And I think that if you have true sanctions against Russia, the Russian people are gonna revolt, and they're going to deal with it themselves.
How many friends did you lose?
Well, I think that's
how many friends did you guys lose in the wars?
None.
I lost one. Like, and we see the cost.
I have friends that,
we had suicides back at home.
We also watch TikTok every night and see war for what it is right now. Like, this war is not being televised.
Mine's still just country music. I think your TikTok's more depressing, buddy.
It is. Well, I got to stay plugged in. But the
Why are you guys
future
on TikTok? That's the Chinese government trying to rot your brain.
I don't want TikTok. I have to have it. It's a whole long argument for work. I didn't get on it till they made me get on it this month. But
just stick on Instagram Reels.
well, like, I'm sitting here watching the news last night going, why does this feel so disjointed? I don't have like a full picture of what's going on.
It's because David Bloom's not riding around.
No, I realized it's because this is the first war of my life where the United States is not involved directly. And there isn't a Defense Department briefing every day telling the news exactly what to report. And so this is the first war completely broadcast by TikTok. So Chris Spangle and Mac from the Mises Caucus in Arizona can report the news 6 hours before Anderson Cooper does. And we're showing you the same clips from social media and Twitter. But what effect that has is that people see real-time war and in a way that is much worse than the pictures coming back from Vietnam that turned that war, that generation against the war. And you don't have the same sense of patriotism that we did, in 2000. Like, there will always be madmen like Putin that want to abuse and hurt and think that they could conquer. But the reality is you're never going to put the genie back in the bottle. Maybe China can figure it out and shut off the internet, but I don't think so. And so maybe the problem with Russia revolting is that the majority, so you think about our own country and how the rural areas of America think about Trump, that this is a free and open society with open information where you can just read the Epic Times every day, but you could also get on, watch CNN, you can watch Russia Today, you can watch the Chris Spangle Show, you can get all kinds of news. You don't have that in Russia, really.
Breaking points.
You don't have breaking points and Joe Rogan in Russia. Totally, right? It gets blocked off.
Russia is a very, very disconnected country.
Yes.
It's massive.
But
and
they
you
still
have
have access to the internet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they
But
have
you have-
access to the podcast. They could,
Yes.
if the public chooses to listen to it, they can get access. It's not China. It's definitely not fucking North Korea.
Right. I agree.
Like,
Completely. But what I'm saying is that there are, the United States is very diverse. Russia is very much the same, where you have so many different loosely tied alliances that are Russia, but you have different communities and different cultures, and they're different. There are so many different individual pockets.
And we
inside of
have a
Russia.
two-party system with Team Red and Team Blue.
Sure.
And in that country, you have Team Red. And so I would love to think that these 9,000 protesters that have been arrested in Russia, who are very brave, are a sign of how every Russian feels. But when you hear Eastern European analysts talk, the majority of the country doesn't think this war is going on, because state television is broadcasting those webcams. And you see some of the alt-right guys share this on Twitter, like, look at the webcams. There's nothing going on in Kiev. And so what they're doing is rerunning the webcams from when nothing's going on in Russia. And so in the rural areas of the country, people are going, these communists in big cities who are leftists, they're lying about this war. And so I don't know that we're going to have the overthrowing that we'd like. Now, if you have a country that loses 30% of your savings in a night, and you can't fly anywhere. You can't import anything with a semiconductor. You can't bank. You can't pay your rent. You work for a foreign company. You can't get paid.
Tourism comes to an end.
Well,
You start losing your own citizens. They're going to know their people are dying.
If Ukraine is right and 9,000 soldiers have died in a week, which I don't know that I trust the numbers.
There's
coming out of
propaganda
Ukraine.
across the board.
Yeah.
I'm very skeptical of any of that.
Russia says 450. It's probably closer to Ukraine than it is to Russia's numbers.
Probably like 2,000.
We lost 5,400 in 20 years in both wars. We lost 2,400 in Afghanistan in the longest war in America. Think about the impact that we felt with bodies coming home like that.
And we didn't like shell a fucking city.
No.
Like
no, it was house to house.
Right. And we would do drone and
Yeah.
there would be collateral damage for sure, which is still terrible. But we've never just like rained fucking shells down on a city.
What is and you haven't even seen it yet. So,
No, I know. It hasn't
Yeah.
started. Like, the question, right? There's a question. It's like, where is the fucking Russia's Air Force?
Yeah.
They haven't even lifted planes yet to fly. Like,
They've
it's
sent a lot of
couple-
helicopters.
But they have a pretty big like air-based military.
Yes.
They haven't even drawn those in yet.
They have major warships heading to Odessa. I saw General Petraeus last night, who
Meanwhile,
ran insurgency.
let's talk about how they mobilized the warships right whenever Putin was going to the peace talks.
Yeah, well, he does it all the time. So, there was a war in Czechoslovakia when they were part of the Soviet Union, and the leader of the country that was trying, like the Zelensky of that, was on the phone with Moscow talking about settling for peace, and they used that cell signal to ping where he was and killed him with fighter jets. So this is a common Russian tactic. They also commonly send in a first wave of troops to pinpoint weaknesses before they launch the real offensive. And so you see this 40-mile long convoy kind of stalling out of gas. I wonder, and this is pure speculation, did they send these soldiers in without enough food rations so they would loot? Because what Russia is doing in this first wave of offensive is they're targeting orphanages, kids' hospitals, apartment buildings. There are multiple reports of a housing unit next to a military installation, and they bombed the house, and it's on purpose. So our family is keeping track of 5 orphans from Odessa that have fortunately moved to a safer place, because they had till tomorrow when the offensive starts. And you can't message us where you're at. They took the kids' phones, because if they say where they're at, or they post on Twitter publicly, hey, look, we're outside Lviv, you're going to get hit with a drone. You're going to hit, because they want to demoralize the Ukrainian people by committing war crimes. And so it's a very evil thing. And these Russian soldiers, by the hundreds, are breaking down. Instead of like being hungry and looting, some of that's happening. I think Putin wanted to have his soldiers terrorize the people, and instead the Ukrainian people are like adopting them, calling their mothers, making them call their mothers, and they're like, I just want to call my mom, and they FaceTime the mom. Like, you have massive troop defections.
The 21st century got to them too. Huh?
Yeah, and so I don't think any Russian soldiers watching, but you have a moral duty to walk away. And I'd say that to every American soldier. You have a moral duty.
Did you see the weird
to defect.
interaction between there was a tank and then like a truck, Russian, and they were parked along the side of the road because they'd ran out of fuel. And there was this weird interaction where a Ukrainian just citizen is driving by in his truck, and he goes, "Hey, you want me to give you a tow?"
Right.
And the guy's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Back to Russia?" And they laughed. The Russian guys were like,
You don't.
But
know
then-
"Good one, man."
you don't know how much it's true, but like they are being like mocked at times. There's a story about a lady, like an old woman, who walked up to a guy and like gave him a handful like sunflower seeds. Yeah, sunflower seeds. And he's like, "Oh, thanks." And she's like, "Yeah, these little flowers will grow when your body is rotting in
my
Ukrainian
country."
soil." Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like, you're like,
Multiple. So there's this one map that I put in our show notes on the episode this past Saturday that you can watch that pings Twitter location videos to a map in the country, and you can watch battles taking place in every area.
It's kind of like Snapchat.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with the heat map.
I've never turned on Snapchat, but I bet you could do that with Snapchat as well.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. And so you're watching like
What?
So like people like pushing with tanks with their body
Right.
because the Ukrainians lived under the Soviet Russia. This is a country that Stalin killed 7 million people in Ukraine. He starved them to death
Their parents
intentionally. Their parents remember it. And so they know if they go under the thumb.
They only got their freedom 30 years ago.
So what Petraeus was saying is there's 2.5 million people in Kiev. It is 5 attackers for 1 defender. So you're not sending this force to go in and attack and hold the city. Because if you advance and you take territory, you got to leave somebody behind. You don't have the manpower. So the only way to take Kyiv is to bombard it with ballistic missiles over and over and over. And so when they have a ceasefire today to open up humanitarian channels that we're not going to bomb like people fleeing, I view that and I go, oh, that's good. And then my next thought is, are they just going to consider anybody that stays behind an enemy combatant at that point?
Yes.
And so what you have to understand about Putin.
Well, that's exactly what our move was.
Yes. If you think Donald Trump was bad, Donald Trump is a bad guy. Donald Trump's brokenness, or whatever you call it, narcissism, is he can't lose. He's still fighting the last election.
He just posted something like lawyers overturned something or something overturned today.
But Donald Trump isn't going to kill anybody over it.
Right.
Vladimir Putin has poisoned every major dissident on foreign soil. An oligarch turned up dead today in Britain. This is an evil human being who is, if I can't have you, nobody's going to have you. And so I may not take the city, but I will destroy this country so you don't have a country anymore if I don't win. And if I do win, I'm going to Moldova. I'm going to Belarus, which you already did. I'm going to Georgia. I mean, this is a guy, like, we could sit here and talk about how NATO.
10 years ago, 10 years ago, the Putin Russian government attacked Georgia.
2008.
And then, the peak of Glenbeck.
It's 2014.
And then 4 years ago, he was in
Crimea.
2014, he Crimea.
How many countries does he have to attack before we get what this guy's about?
And now it's happening.
He's taking on a whole country and with 70% of his forces. So this is a man who, the second anybody claps back at him, goes, I've got nuclear weapons and I'll use them. And the EU immediately stopped selling planes to the Ukraine. So, like, I don't know, as an anti-war libertarian who's as close to a pacifist as I can comfortably get, you look at it and you're every day is a constant struggle. Like, principles are incredibly important because when the tide is trying to pull you out, you have to hold on to your principles as a mental device to go, what's the path to peace?
Right. And that's where you have to determine for yourself, is that can you do it with economics, or do you have to use weapons? Yeah, because you haven't tried. At this point, you have not had a chance for Russia to feel the effect of sanctions at all. Yeah. That process hasn't started yet.
And the sanctions haven't worked with Iran. They haven't worked with Putin for 20 years.
I don't think that we've ever done
cultures.
Yeah. There was a massive thing that happened, and I haven't heard many people talk about it, but not letting them process SWIFT payments is fucking huge.
Yeah. Sweden
and
Switzerland getting in.
Like they are not able to use credit cards.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Like, I'm surprised more libertarians are talking about this because it's about the centralization of payments.
Mm-hmm.
And
they canceled him.
Yeah, they canceled him. Yeah. And I'm like, to me, hey, that's fucked up.
They canceled Russia.
Yeah. And that's crazy. And it's like, the libertarian me is like, nobody should have that kind of power to cancel somebody, right? Like,
yeah,
because this is what you get is like, if you just flipped it and say these people are doing good and like Russia has a hold of SWIFT, it just takes, it depends who has like the switch, right?
Look at the truckers in Canada.
Yeah.
If you donated $25, they shut your bank account off.
Yeah.
A cashless society is a terrible idea.
Or at least this shines where like, I'm not saying like Bitcoin's the holy grail.
It shows you why some things are problematic.
Yeah, but it also shows you why like the cryptocurrency is a great thing. And like one of my DHH, David Hannemeyer Hansen, big leftist guy, right? But he's a programmer and stuff. like had to be like, oh, like when they did the thing with the truckers, he's like, I was wrong about crypto. He's like, I thought it was like, we don't need it. This would never happen in the West.
Yeah.
And then they did that to the truckers. He goes, I apologize. He's like, I understand crypto now.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to like watch an Australian leader stand up and say, here in Australia, we believe in freedom and we're going to fight Putin, or Justin Trudeau saying the same thing, or Nancy Pelosi. After the last 2 years, it's really hard. Like, but
it's freedom light.
Yeah. Like democracy, democracy has been used as against a person like Brian, like a weapon.
Right. Yeah.
What's the difference between the difference between an authoritarian government is that you protest in Russia right now, you lose access to a job, to university, to health benefits, possibly your life, a life in prison.
I wouldn't be surprised if like they aren't executed, but
of course. And so that's the difference, is that we had a lot of like uncomfortable feelings. You know, we didn't have people, you had people lose their livelihood that ran small businesses though.
Right.
Like that's pretty authoritarian. So what's the real difference? And I think this should be a clarifying moment for every single American, because you look at the Ukrainians and what they're willing to sacrifice, what these Russians are willing to sacrifice for freedom. And what are we willing to sacrifice for freedom? I saw a meme yesterday that said, shut up about the Ukrainians when you wouldn't stand up for your kids' freedom.
Right.
And
it
should narrow our focus a little bit.
Well, and then there's not that I give a shit about basketball hoop guy or ring guy or whatever his name is, Ted Cruz. But like, they're like, the meme was like the Iranian government leader, Vladimir or whatever.
Zelensky.
Voldemort. Yeah. Zelensky. And then it was like, Russians invading, and like, he's like, I'm fucking here. What's up?
Yeah.
And then it was like Ted Cruz getting a plane to fucking go to fucking Mexico or wherever the hell he was going. You're like,
Joe Biden, bitch, this is the worst, man. Like, Joe Biden's got this guy.
Ted Cruz left his damn dog in Texas to freeze to death.
That poor dog peeking out the window.
He also bowed down to
You're
Trump
not gonna win
after
me with the
he
dog
called his wife a
conversation,
pig.
you know.
Like
Ted Cruz is I have no respect
we all
for that
know
man.
this.
Just like you're watching this Zelensky guy and you're going, man, this guy can do everything Joe Biden can't, like talk, walk upstairs.
Okay. All right. Yeah, he's Gerald
Remember
Ford,
his name.
everybody. He's Gerald
Not poop
Ford.
his pants.
Let's just admit the gas prices are high. There's a lot of uncertainty, and we've been being taxed since 1988 in this community, and we have this conversation every year as to how we're going to, every so often, from time to time, about how we're going to spend all
Are we
all of our
shifting to
money.
catching up on food and beverage?
Did you guys
Yes.
catch whenever Joe Biden called the Ukrainians Iranians?
Yeah, Iranians.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I was asleep by 9:30 that night. I don't know how Joe Biden was doing it.
Rob made Mr. White made a great post. He said the Adderall's wearing off.
All right.
It was crazy. As the speech went on, he slurred and got worse.
Yeah.
At least he's not killing anyone, directly.
Right.
So there's about $4 million in food and beverage money.
I got
what
I
are we
was
going to do
hoping
with
that
this?
we would get an update.
So what's happened is that we have an interim report. We don't have a final report, and even once we do get a final report from the committee, it's not going to be totally final because this is going to go before the county council,
Right.
and they're going to decide what to do with it. So there's been about a month-long process that we've been covering a bit, and we discussed a handful of projects on here previously. But our 1% food and beverage tax in Henry County has generated $4 million in future spending revenue, et cetera. And there are some projects that were highlighted here. So Dakota, if you want to take a look at the interim list with me, we can talk about the big ticket items and then some of the other items that are shown. The big winner in the recommendations was $2 million for the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame expansion. And the Courier Times covered what the application was going to be, and I think they actually asked for a full $3 million, but they're getting $2 million of it in what's approved or what's recommended.
I think I have here the funding request is $2 million the cumulative total. is 2.3.
Yeah, but what that is you following the left to right. That's adding up everything in the column that you're looking at.
Yeah.
So when you get to the very bottom of it, that's half covered up on the little report you and I are looking at. It shows that the $4.2 million. So $2 million is recommended for the Hall of Fame expansion, and they're essentially wanting to add 50% more square footage to the Hall of Fame. So the core root of this tax was the Hall of Fame in 1988. So it's in line with the reason that it was put in place the first time.
Roots, baby.
And then we've talked about the mayor's plan for sports park.
Yeah,
and that's a potential $16 million project. They applied.
Okay.
And the recommendation
is this
from the
mayor
committee,
that doesn't live in Newcastle?
He's a Henry County mayor. Mayor York. $1 million is approved to that or recommended for that. I think they asked for maybe $4 million. All
I'm learning is that our trails didn't get any money.
This was sent to you. You can check the list.
I'm not going to read it.
The Saddle Club and the Jordan Arena, they're recommending $192,000 for those folks.
For the saddle people?
For the Saddle Club.
Get some horses running?
To make some improvements. There's some baseball diamonds they're recommending $150,000 for. And the one project that I think is very troubling, that they're actually recommending
strip club.
They're actually recommending sending $35,000 to Henry County Memorial Park to light on fire for the 4th of July to fund the annual fireworks show.
So they're going to burn up the $35,000.
So the $35,000 has usually been sponsored in the past, and they've had community sponsors. I think Citizen State Bank has done it in the past, and for whatever reason, they're not getting it funded through sponsorships. So they approached the committee and said, "Hey, we want to plug that funding gap with this," and the committee is saying, "Hey, yeah, let's do it." But we're literally going to take $35,000 in food and beverage money and we're going to light it on fire in front of the town.
Well, this is troubling.
Yeah, I can't believe that. That is.
I looked at it when they applied for it. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. And this is not final yet. If you don't like something on this list, or if you think you're passionate about something on this list, call your county council.
You need to come up with a really cool protest.
But they're going to light $100 bills on fire in front of town.
$35,000.
I was going to say, we will light it on fire.
Yeah.
I will take $35,000.
This show has a better draw to Henry County than what the fireworks show does.
Well, did you apply?
No, we should have.
If they're going to burn money, you guys probably could have got some of it.
But just $5,000. Yeah. That's all we want.
Louisville Park's going to get $4,900 from picnic tables and trash cans, which is a better use than lighting it on fire.
Yeah,
literally burning it.
I wish they would. I mean, they could. Yeah, this is wild.
Even my issue with the fireworks would be that I don't think that people are coming from out of town to Newcastle and spending money while here for the fireworks.
It's because somebody doesn't want to do the job to secure funding through donations.
Is there anyone from outside of Henry County that comes to Henry County for our fireworks show?
Yeah,
there's no way.
It's just asinine to me.
No way.
Even if you have problems with the existence of this tax, which is somewhat troubling,
it's only troubling because it's only troubling because they end up doing dumb shit like burning it on fire.
Give the $35,000 to Memorial Park.
I know.
I mean, I would even be people.
That's also a troubling topic as well.
Some folks will lose their mind, but like, why does the Memorial Park just for that day say, "Hey, we're going to charge $2 a car"?
I know.
Park in the fields
to park,
because they're legit. There are thousands of cars. Like the whole soccer field on both sides is full of cars. So you just say, "Hey, just a heads up, $2,"
or just pass a bucket. Yeah, just pass a bucket and say, "Hey, y'all, this is what this costs."
I don't know if you've ever tried to do that at family reunion, but it's hard.
Maybe what we should do is pass the bucket and then just pile it all up in the middle, and we'll burn that too.
Yeah.
Spangle,
we should do it. Actually,
were you listening from beyond?
I was not.
This is the protest. We will do this at this thing. We will collect people's money, and they're going to go, "What are you going to use this money for?" We're gonna light it on fucking fire.
I'm going to be with Zach. I'll be in Ohio. Jesse, do you want to explain to Chris?
I'm going to be walking around.
Do you want to explain to Chris what's happening? Because he was away.
I will quickly do this. So, our food and beverage tax is being divvied up, and one of the last things that has been there's like $35,000, and the $35,000 is being handed over to the Memorial Park
Okay.
to pay for the fireworks show.
Okay, wait. So there was missing money.
No, it's not missing. So it's food and beverage tax money,
okay.
which is supposed to be used to help draw citizens into Henry County
For tourism.
And what they want to do is they want to cover the $35,000 cost it takes to put on our fireworks show in this county with taxpayer dollars.
Right.
And so, yeah, they're essentially charging us. They're stealing from us to light it all on fucking fire.
Okay. Literally. They're literally taking 35 grand and lighting it on fire. Here's what I would say. The one thing about the pandemic that we should walk away with is if you had to turn off the regulation or not spend the money during 2020 because you couldn't afford it, it doesn't get to come back. So if you didn't have a fireworks show in 2020 because you could not afford it, we're never having another one again unless you raise it with private money.
I think we did have one in 2020.
I don't think we missed any.
No, we didn't.
There are a lot like Greenwood couldn't afford to do it.
The donut counties, of course.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what it showed you where the priorities were at when times actually got hard.
Right. It's the tightening of the belts in business, right? You're just trimming the fat.
So I live.
We also gave away a lot of money for people that actually burn it up with fireworks also.
Yeah, like I live in Fall Creek Place in downtown Indianapolis.
I think the committee just met tonight, and I've been given a new version of this report, and I think they stripped it out. I think we just won. I think the public outrage
if
has
they
worked.
didn't, I was going to have a bucket to collect money at that fucking thing, and I was literally going to be like, "What is it for?" I'm like, "To light on fucking fire."
You know what makes a city livable? It like the parks that we can walk to. Like we walk to parks all the time now. You know, so Indianapolis took these abandoned houses and they put little mini parks in abandoned lots or built like parks, right? Or we have nice sidewalks.
I would say it's the ability to walk places is pretty huge.
Yeah,
it's underestimated how big it is.
What people under 40 want is a place like Bryan. You know, what they want is to be able to walk to one of these restaurants here on Main Street. You know, they want to be able to go for a walk in the evening and not have horrible looking sidewalks. Like what you should take that $35,000 for Newcastle is buy a couple weed eaters and go through this downtown, maybe buy a little roundup, make your downtown look nicer, maybe put up a couple flags. Let's throw some paint on the buildings that are not good. Let's fix the sidewalks. That's what will make your city livable.
The fireworks have, will not. In fact, been stripped out. So, thank God.
We won while you were peeing.
This show has already made a difference.
I paid attention.
Problem solved. All right. Well, I'm not nearly as upset as I was going to be.
I'm just upset we missed this cool opportunity to actually take money from people and also light it on fire.
I think you could still do it.
Which I think is a federal offense.
I think you could still do it.
I don't think you could actually burn money legally.
Nobody's going to catch you.
No, I want to do it in front of everyone.
Jesse wants to do it on a live stream for the shock value.
I would be like dressed like the Joker and just like,
This is a COVID-related project. Oh, okay. Well,
it's a piece of art.
Do you need 70,000?
Yeah. Trust me, it's artwork.
Yeah,
well,
that's the thing that like
there was another.
I've never driven down the street. By
another
the way.
thing got stricken.
I got lost. No, not Race Street. What's the main street?
Broad Street.
I've never driven down Broad Street before, and I was like, oh, they have a cute little downtown.
You've never been to Broad Street before?
That's the kind of stuff because I always come to 3 and go. Sure. You know, I went to Julie Avenue or I'd go to Tracy Avenue or whatever. The kissing booth.
There's a kissing booth here.
Yeah, the Citizens Corner, Broad, Main.
Yeah,
that's the corner that.
Sometimes you need some love in your life, Christy.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's either that or sometimes they have a like an American Gothic kind of shadow box thing you can get into and pose. That little corner is kind of Carrie's corner, and she keeps it decorated. I don't know how many coats of paint are on that piano, but she keeps it looking real nice. We have a scat.
That little park. Did you see the little park they built?
No, I don't think so. I'll have to drive. I'll drive down.
One other thing that I wanted to mention. Jeremiah mentioned the $4.4 million. That was
Jesse Riddle is the single most destructive person we've ever had in this building.
Shrek.
He has ripped He has ripped the mic
What's
stand
wrong, donkey?
off of the table.
I'm a donkey on the edge.
He's also completely backed out of camera frame.
Jeremiah mentioned the $4.4 million. That's what could have been available if we took into account future funding from the food and beverage money.
There's $1.2 million
But there's
available
actually,
instantly.
yeah, $1.2 million cash sitting there right now that we could use. And they decided to only spend the $1.2 million that they have currently. They didn't go over that in the recommendation. So that's great. We're not spending money that we don't have.
Well, the committee appears to have made dueling recommendations. They've made both, and I think they'll probably let the council decide what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you got a lot of dads with weed eaters in this town.
And a lot of
make it a
Nike
project.
Monarchs. We can make it happen.
Like, as a person who comes into this town 4 times a year, and I never have been on Broad Street, but I
This
just
is-
kind of come in 3, and I'm like,
This is your money. You come here and buy Pizza King,
That's
and you
true.
spent money here today. So how
am-
should we spend your money?
I am the Elon Musk of Newcastle because I go only to Pizza King, which is so rich that they have full color. As Jesse pointed out, their napkins have full color
color print.
printing. The pandemic
Each napkin.
did not dent the Pizza King napkin budget. Like the
Full speed ahead, they said. They just moved that lever up like we're fucking going. Full speed.
should we
It's
tighten
the
our belts?
$2 they
No.
charge for bill butter.
No, just add $3 more to the pizza.
They skipped on the pepperoni and they gave me the full color printed napkin.
I was gonna say my pepperoni pizza had like 5 chopped up pieces of pepperoni.
It looked like
mostly cheese.
it looked like there was Pizza King that actually had crust tonight.
I'm not trying to be mean, but my 3 Pizza King, State Road 3 Pizza King experience tonight was like West Side Pizza King.
That's like
That's
the
not good. It
worst
wasn't
Pizza
good.
King.
It was
in
like
Newcastle.
I know.
Pizza King.
Thank you. Because I drove up to Top Hat too,
Top, yeah.
and Jeremiah's like, "No, we're at the 1 on 3." I go.
Great.
I said
Montgomery's Pizza King is better than the
Montgomery's
1-3.
Pizza King is fire because they don't use the same ovens. They use like
that's
something
true.
special, and it's
Probably the same ovens that they cook their steaks with.
yeah, I don't know. It's just awesome.
Okay, well, we'll
Anyways.
go back out to dinner again after this to make you people happy.
I worked up a sweat.
I'm gonna need some
Round
of that-
2.
If I'm gonna go to Pizza King twice tonight, I'm gonna need some of that food and beverage money.
Yeah, right. We'll pay with your $100 bill.
Going to use some of that WAL money.
All right.
All right, very good. I think we need to wrap this up. The live feed went down for a second on the video, and I got it back. So I think there may have been a brief interruption on the
Could have
old
been the
stream.
1994
It was
laptop.
or
Big
it was
Pizza.
the early. It was Big Pizza King taking us down. It's
Probably was Big Pizza.
They were not happy about us. That there was East Russia or East Germany and West Germany, East
Yeah.
and West Berlin.
There's East and West Pizza King.
Spangle's
there's
probably not
that
very
with Pizza King
happy
as
with
well.
us right now. He told us to keep the episodes under an hour, and it's been like 2 hours.
Yeah, well, this is his fault.
No, it hasn't.
That is my fault.
It's
hasn't
entirely
been.
his fault.
There
It
is
hasn't
no other
been.
show in the network
The
that
Patreon-
violates it more than I do.
The Patreon took up more, but this one is not. This one's actually.
This has been fine.
Yeah,
this
this
has
one's
been,
like right on
Dakota is just grumpy because he should have been in bed
10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, I should have been asleep 10 minutes ago.
Oh, your workout
Savages.
is going to suffer.
you and Brian are going to suffer. All right, well, let's do some final thoughts. We'll start with
Your biceps are crying.
We'll start with producer Zachary Burcham.
Got nothing.
You got nothing? Do you have an apology for me? You made your Labor Day plans without even conferring with me.
I'm sorry, I didn't think Labor Day you'd want to just travel like 10 minutes up the road.
I'd at least like to be consulted.
Oh, sorry. I consulted my
Your
brother.
life is not yours.
Are you going to Sulphur Springs or whatever?
Zach and I camp
Summit.
together
Do not
at
own
least
your
6
time.
weekends a year.
You are my friend, therefore I will tell you what you will do.
I don't want to tell him what to do. I just like to have the chance to tag along.
If you're wondering why this is called Boss Hog of Liberty, Jeremiah's bossy, so I did it to make fun of him. I never thought it'd take this life.
It would go on
That was a joke.
forever.
I'm the only member of the cast that still lives in Newcastle, and the former producer moved out of town and changed his name.
Just to get away.
Well, that's because he doesn't want to get fed to the Gators.
I can't wait. I mean, honestly, it's just going to be the implosion with Zach is going to be spectacular. I don't know when it's going to happen.
He knows too much.
but one of these days he's going to run away.
Have you
does know
thought
too
about
much.
plutonium?
He's going to run away to join the circus.
The problem is I'll run into you like all May.
Yeah, we'll still I'll be there and like, oh yeah, I used to see that guy all the time.
Yeah.
We used to be
Yeah,
friends.
Got nothing.
It's like me when I,
We used
it's like
to be
me when I
friends.
see Maya.
We used to be friends. Boy, my eye really changed himself to get away from you.
Have we seen Maya in a while?
And we thought Dave Chappelle was trying.
I have been contacted by the FBI because of Maya, but no.
All right, Jesse
talked to
Riddle.
them.
What are you selling so Christy Avery can buy it?
I'm not selling anything, but I do want to buy some stuff from Christy, so I got to talk to her after the show.
We need to pass the mic over to Christy real quick so she can.
Yeah,
do some
you need
final
to
thoughts.
self promote here.
So Christy is our resident Norwex rep. We talk about her every week, and I instructed the purse string Sarah Potter Morrell to make a purchase from Norwex. So I did you bring it with you, Christy? Did you deliver it today? How does this work?
That's definitely not how it works. Sorry.
I will say that you at Rupert's Kids charity thing gave us some like little scrubby microfiber dish things. Best thing we've ever used. And the microfiber glasses cleaner that goes on your keychain is amazing too.
Yes.
Like top notch.
Tell all your
some of the
friends.
best.
Yes.
Deep pockets.
So the Norwex stuff is really nice.
Or the folks that just need to clean.
Yes.
If
They'll
you,
put
if
it-
you have an apartment or a
Not
house,
me.
They'll put a link in the show notes.
there we go. All
Am I
right.
allowed to do that?
Well, thanks
I
for
just
hanging
told
out
them
with
they
us.
had to.
Thanks for hanging out with us, Christy.
Thank you. It's always a good time here.
Was this worth the drive down?
Yes, definitely. Even if I didn't bring my dog.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm glad you left it like Ted Cruz left his. The freeze
Fluffy.
to death.
Will you be home
Poor
before the
Fluffy.
weekend? Are you going back up
Coward.
tonight?
Yes, I am, because the dog is still at home and I haven't packed or anything. And I'm actually, shout out to Morgan Rigg. Morgan and I are carpooling to the convention.
Do you go over to Anderson to get back up to the Fort Wayne, or do you take the 2-lane road all the way up to Byrne or Markle?
Markle.
Yeah,
Yes.
yep. Do you take 3
That's
all the
what I
way,
meant.
to the end?
So I
Don't tell
probably
Morgan
drove
about the
past.
secret I gave on this
I
podcast
didn't hear
tonight.
anything. I probably drove past you guys at Pizza King. Assholes.
Listen, Spangle said, "Don't tell Christy." I don't know why he's like that, but he
I did
said
not
he
even realize you were.
Hates Aldi.
He's-
What? I mean,
Yeah.
it was
Ridiculous.
yeah. That's why we went
But
to that
he
pizza
ate
king
half
because it
that
looks at Aldi.
container.
All right.
I have taste. I have class.
All right, Chris. Let's.
I have a sort of middle income.
But by the way, you're wearing. It looks like the old Dean Van Line special pit attire for $8,500 back in the day.
I only wore black like gym t-shirts that are like slick like this, the synthetic
Yeah.
material, because the fat guys sweat, and gym shorts for 2 years, and they wore out. And so I'm like, I'm going back to real life and going to client meetings. I need to look. So I was watching The Sopranos about 6 months ago, and I was like, golf dad.
The new one with Joey Diaz?
No, the original,
one, yeah, the old one.
you know, Tony Soprano just always had like slacks and like a golf dad shirt. I was like, I'm going to Dick's.
What kind of shoes you wearing?
Brooks.
Brooks.
Yeah.
All right.
And so
What
so
kind
I
of
got
shoelaces you got?
my American
Not New
flag.
Balance?
You don't
You're
have New
wearing
Balances.
American flags, but you're not wearing New Balances, which are made in America.
Brooks have.
Only
I
some
need
of
a
them.
wide foot.
They do
Wide
whites.
foot.
Have you heard of these Caterpie shoelaces though?
All I'm saying is, I love America, and if you don't, you commie bastard, you can get the hell out.
I say this shirt is very Republican.
It looks like it's Chris
It's
Spangle.
very golf.
And
team.
who
I-
loves America more?
I have turned into a Mitch Daniels Republican in my old age.
Jesse,
that's
my
for
thought
sure.
was if he throws that shirt on with some
I've seen
gym
anarchism,
shorts
and I'm not
Yeah.
a fan.
and like a grease stain
Right?
for PBT, he'd be right out of the trucker convoy tomorrow.
God, country, and family in that order. Wait.
All right. So how do we follow you? ChrisSpangle.com, Chris Spangle Show on the Real Libertarians Network.
ChrisSpangle.com. It's only a matter of time before I get kicked off of Facebook for liking the wrong things. They're now banning you for liking things. I got a notice today. I want to thank Christy Avery. Christy, along with Jason Doolittle, are our two most generous patrons who have kept the network going for so long. Christy gives at a level that is very generous, and I know is probably every month she's like, why? But we really,
She
really
goes, "Oh, I should have canceled that, but it's already March 2nd,
Yes.
so I can't. The
But-
money's
And then
gone, and then
Jeremiah's
she
gonna be
forgets
or
about it."
Then Dakota's going to call and be like, "So Christy, the last month's payment
So-
hasn't gone through," and she's going to go, "Huh? I'm going to have to look into that."
All I'm saying is that if you like this show and you get something out of this show, buy some Norwex, join the Patreon for Boss Hog. If you get value out of what these nerds do here every week, you've got to give value back. You got to support them. Well, We Are Libertarians has a Patreon too, but I'm trying to help them because they've got 3 patrons?
Oh, we have 3 patrons and rent.
Yes, so
yeah.
it's imperative that you donate. and that you plug your Patreon every episode.
Well, I mean, Chris has a rent too.
Yeah, trust me.
He has
got
joined the
rent.
cult of home ownership.
I married a woman who has higher taste than me. So, no,
I don't know. You said she
please.
likes Aldi.
She does. So, no, I would love for you to listen to the Chris Spangle Show. Go download it on your favorite podcast app. Check out the Weird Libertarians podcast at Weird Libertarians. Yeah, and the Pat Down podcast, too. I'm on that. It's a comedy show. It's really funny. And podcasting and platforms while we're here. You want to learn how to podcast and how I built
If you want to start a rival podcast, call Chris. He'll hook you up.
the Chris Guffey podcast, the Chris Guffey Show.
It's Staten now.
Oh, sorry. Did I dead name him?
He's been run out of town.
You did.
That poor guy. All right.
Wow.
Well, thank you for making the journey out to Newcastle.
Thank you. It's always a treat.
You can help us. You can come back out in a few weeks and help us open the pool for the party that you're going to want to have.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll make sure you're here.
We'll have a small one this time.
Spangle thought that it was COVID-19 that was going to get him canceled, but it was actually dead naming Chris Staten.
All right, Dakota, what you got for me, buddy?
You know, my story with Morgan Rigg really made me think about this.
You gonna re-up?
No. I'm going
You
to.
didn't say it took
I'm
action.
going to plug my own thing. If you think that you are a Patreon member, then maybe every once in a while log into your Patreon account, and maybe or maybe not, you will see an email from me saying that your credit card got declined, and we're asking you to re-up your membership. I haven't kicked anybody out of the Facebook group yet because I don't think we need to get there. But, you know,
Do it.
Maybe
You have to be.
maybe we're going to have to start looking at it.
What are you, Europe? Next thing
Some
you
of
know,
these people are
Putin,
nice people.
You sound like the editor of the Courier Times. No, you have to be hard on these people.
I don't want to be dropping names because some of these people are close to us. Some of them may even be family.
Bailey.
So,
Audrey.
not my family. my family's current. Jeremiah.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you.
I think even we dropped off. The Weird Libertarians Network dropped off.
I'll
You
check
did.
in. Well,
No,
if you-
and you left a exit survey that said cutting costs.
In December, I started doing the math between the wedding and the honeymoon, and I was like, everything has to go.
well, that's paid for. Now, let's not give anybody a reason to evaluate their budgets. We're going to move on. This has been great.
We'll come back.
Real final thoughts from me quickly. I look over Spangle's shoulder and I see the Sinclair gas station lid that I got for Christmas. Former county commissioner Bill Cronk just passed away. Henry County legend. He was 90 years old, 5 terms as a commissioner. He was a fixture at the Henry County 4-H Fair throughout my entire life. But he actually was the owner and operator of the Sinclair in Sulphur Springs for years and years. I didn't know that. It was gone before I came along, but everybody knows my affinity for the Sinclair. He was a 2-time Sagamore the Wabash recipient. Big time. So, loss for Henry County. Want to remember Bill. And I want to say that everybody needs to be really, really careful. This trucker protest deal is going across the country this weekend. I think they're heading to DC over, I think maybe Sunday. Friday night into Saturday, they're actually rendezvousing right in Spiceland.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a few hundred extra trucks in town. Just, whether you support it, don't support it, whatever, just be careful. I-70
nice.
today was a mess of people on the side of the road, on the shoulder, unprotected. My day job is in road construction and we're very concerned about traffic safety. And if you're parked on the side of an interstate, you are in severe danger.
Yes.
So if you're listening, you're associated with that, take care of yourself and make sure that you're in a safe place as you're doing whatever you're doing. Cause there were some things today that scared the hell out of me. Very high risk situation.
Just do not do not park on the side of the road unless you're in an emergency situation. You are in grave danger. Do not park, climb up, put flags on, America doesn't need you that bad. Stay alive. That's what we need from you.
Yeah.
Nobody's looking for your
This economy
flag.
needs you to go back to work, not
Right.
to get killed on the side of the road.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we thank you
Enough
guys very
already.
much. Special thanks also to Wyland's Flowers, Big Bounce, and to the Slick Pickle Party Bus. We are starting the candidate series next week. I believe we're starting with state representative candidates. I believe we're going to have 21 candidates that we're going to invite to come through these doors between now and the May primary. There's no guarantee they're all going to accept us. But if you listen, you care about the show, and you want the platform to go, if the race is coming up and you're passionate about hearing from somebody, tell those candidates that they need to accept the invite from Boss Hog. And if you want to make sure we invite them, and particularly if you're a patron, send me a DM, and we'll try to make sure that we get your race on there.
Publicly shame. That's what I say.
Let them know you want to hear from them, because we think that this is important for the community, and it makes all of the candidates better.
You have power now. Throw it around. Use it.
All right. We'll catch you guys next week.
Invade those lesser podcasts.